Comets. What is a comet? What is the difference between a comet and a big rock? Not much. Comets are icy rocks flying through space. They are best known for their long tails visible in the night sky. Comets have been around since the solar system formed 4.6 billion years ago. They're leftovers from materials that form the planets. Their long orbits take them to the farthest reaches of the solar system and also bring them dangerously close to the Sun. Some comets orbit in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, but most come from much farther away. Beyond Neptune is the Kuiper belt. It contains billions of comets. Even farther out is the Oort cloud. It is home to trillions of comets. Trips around the Sun. The time it takes a comet to orbit the Sun is called a period. Short period comets orbit the Sun in 200 or fewer years. They come from the Kuiper belt. Long period comets usually come from the Oort cloud. Why do comets orbit the Sun? As they fly, comets are pulled towards the Sun because of its powerful gravity. But instead of crashing into the Sun, comets usually curve around it. Their speed propels them back out to distant places in the solar system. What happens when a comet comes close to the Sun? To answer this question, it helps to know the parts of a comet. The main part is the nucleus, which is made up of rock, dust, and ice. The nucleus may be 1 to 40 kilometers across. When the comet nears the Sun, the intense heat melts some of the ice, burns off tiny bits of the rock and dust. The water vapor and burning bits combine to form an atmosphere called a coma. That is the second part of a comet. The third part of a comet is its tail. Even closer to the Sun, the comet develops a tail, a trail of dust and gas. The tail always points away from the Sun. This is due to solar wind, a nonstop flow of particles speeding away from the Sun. It's a comet's life. Each time a comet nears the Sun, it loses some of its ice and dust. Once all the ice is gone, the comet becomes more like an asteroid. Without the ice to hold it together, it may break into smaller pieces. Some comets meet a more dramatic end. They may get pulled into the gravity of a planet and burn up in its atmosphere. Others may survive to impact the surface. Still, other comets are completely destroyed when they travel too close to the Sun. Famous comets. In 1994, astronomers observed a comet's doom and power. Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was in close orbit around Jupiter. That July, it began to break up. Pieces crashed into the massive planet. The impacts formed dark spots on the planet's surface. Comet Hale-Bopp was a bright spot in Earth's skies in 1997. Its orbit takes over 2,500 years. The last people who saw it may have been the ancient Egyptians. But the real comet superstar is Halley's Comet. It is well known because about every 75 years, right on schedule, it streaks past Earth. The time it takes a comet to orbit the Sun is called a period. Oh, I already read that. Page 7, sorry. Comets blaze through history. Records of Halley's Comet are found throughout history. Chinese stories first mention it in 239 BC. In 1066, it flew by during a war in England. In 1665, it visited just before a deadly plague in England. Some blamed it for the fall of the Alamo Mission in Texas. So these are reasons why people think comets are bad luck. Bad things happen around the time when that comet happens to go by. In the past, people did not understand comets. Some thought they were bad luck. However, even made-up tales help today's scientists. These old stories show the patterns of comets over time. Why study comets? Planets, moons, and asteroids formed from dust and gas swirling around the newborn sun. So did comets. They're all made of the same materials. By studying comets, scientists can learn more about how the solar system formed. Some comets reach deep space on their long journeys around the sun. They can help us understand what lies at the edges of the solar system and beyond. Scientists are using space probes to study comets. The Stardust Space Probe scooped up a sample of comet particles and returned them to Earth in 2006. Comet landings and future missions. Stardust paved the way for a comet landing. In 2005, the Deep Impact Space Probe crashed into Comet Tempel 1. Scientists studied the crater made by the space probe. They found that the comet's surface was not as solid as we thought. In 2014, for the first time in history, the Rosetta spacecraft entered a comet's orbit. Rosetta was designed to follow the comet 67P as it orbits the sun. A lander was sent to sample the comet's core. Luckily, you don't have to go into space to see a comet. Comets are visible by telescope. Sometimes you can see one with your unaided eyes.